guys are after my heart chanting, mind your own damn business. That feels good, so thank you. Look, that includes IVF, and this gets personal for me and my family.
Today's IVF day. Thank God for IVF. My wife and I have two beautiful children. First of all, it was up to him. I wouldn't have a family because of IVF and the things that we need to do reproductive. My kids were born through that that way.
And I remember praying every night for a call for good news. The pit in my stomach when the phone rang, and the agony when we heard that the treatments hadn't worked. So it wasn't by chance that when we welcomed our daughter into the world, we named her Hope.
Unfortunately, the story is bullshit.
Don't you fall into the trap. Democrats are full of...
Can you believe this bullshit? Can you believe Tim Walz? Tim A. Walz lying? I got a song for you, Tim. Born to be lying. Born to be lying. I mean, this is unfreaking believable. First, you've got stolen valor. Lying about his designation in his service to this country. I'm not talking, he gave decades worth of service, no problem there. But lying about carrying a weapon of war, in war, when you were never even close to it, didn't even sniff it with your nose, with your nostrils, you weren't even there, you pathetic POS. And then on top of it, to basically classify your designation when you retired as something higher than what you actually did. How dare you? And then take a look at this. I mean, do these people have absolutely no freaking shame whatsoever, freaking ever, folks. They have no shame. They are shameless. Look at this. Tim A. Walz, his wife, discloses that she used a different fertility treatment than IVF. Folks, this has just come over the wires. Let's take a look at this story. I mean, here it is. Gwen Walz of A. Walz's wife just put a piece out, published in Glamour, that the fertility treatments that she underwent were intrauterine insemination treatments. They weren't IVF. This guy is supposed to be a learned man, educated, served in the armed services for decades. He doesn't know the difference between IVF and intrauterine insemination treatments. He doesn't know. You heard what he said. He agonized every single day. He was in agony. They were in agony. They were in agony. They were every night waiting for the phone call to see whether or not they were going to have children. Yes, he doesn't know the difference between IVF and intrauterine insemination. She goes on to say his wife, our fertility journey was incredibly personal and difficult, discussing the IUI treatments, not the IVF. She said a neighbor who happened to be a nurse would come to help with the shots I needed as part of the IUI process, not IVF. And then she goes on to say that she acknowledged that the reason she and her husband decided to talk about their struggle with the infertility was because of the threat to IVF fertilization treatments, in particular because of the Alabama Supreme Court ruling back in February that frozen embryos made through IVF are children under the state's Wrongful Death of a Minor Act. She goes on to say, I cannot fathom the cruelty. I can't fathom the cruelty of politicians who want to take away the freedom for couples to access the care they need. Gwen Walz told Glamour. What'd she tell Glamour? What'd she tell her? I can't fathom the cruelty of politicians who want to take away the freedom for couples to access the care they need. Oh, and of course, their families use the fertility treatments. It's not lost on Vice President Kamala Harris, who highlighted the couple's fertility journey in Philadelphia. Yeah, let's use their personal story of anguish, of not being able to have children. Listen, I'm not making fun of the millions and hundreds of thousands, millions of people out there who can't have kids. Oh, I can't even imagine what that's like for a couple that's married. But these people are using this personal story for their own gain, and it's a complete fabrication. It's a complete, utter lie. That's what pisses me off. That's what pisses everybody off. That these guys are shameless. They have no shame whatsoever. They're lying about this. Using a personal story and twisting it. And then he's going to come on and say, yeah, I misspoke. I meant IUI. It's just a bunch of, it's like pronouns, him, her, they, them, thus, this, that, that's it. And so it goes on to say, Harris has been a vocal advocate of reproductive technology, as well as murdering children with an abortion process. Yes, she's been all over this. We know that. As well as women's access to abortion. Murder? Yes. Let's go on and see. Now, the governor has said that he's spoken about infertility at campaign events since he became the VP nominee, crediting family treatments like IVF with helping his family to conceive their 2 children. And as governor, Walz has voiced concern about Americans' access to IVF, even though they didn't use IVF, they used IUI. Goes on to say, Gwen and I have 2 beautiful children because of reproductive health care like IVF. Wrong! It's IUI. He wrote on his Facebook page after the Alabama ruling. This is what he wrote. Wait, I have to get into, I have to get ready. I have to be proper. I mean, these guys are actors. They have to learn their lines. I got to learn my lines. Hold on a second. Ready? And cut and action. This issue is deeply personal to our family and so many others. Don't you dare let these guys get away with this by telling you they support IVF when their judges oppose it. He told the Star Tribune this. Yes, he did. Oh, my goodness. What did he tell the Star Tribune? That the couple underwent fertility treatments for 7 years before Gwen became pregnant with their daughter. And they named their daughter Hope. Now he's bringing his children into this now, folks. For political gain. And it's all a lie. And it's unraveling. And as they said here, soon after his selection of Harris's running mate, other outlets referred to the family's IVF journey, although they did not quote Walz on the type of fertility treatments his wife had undergone. Now, IUI is an artificial insemination process that typically requires stimulant shots as IVF does. But here's the difference, and I'm going to try, it puts it very well. I'm a doctor. I'll tell you, but IUI treatments, they insert sperm into the uterus. That's what they do to increase chances of fertilization. While IVF, it's the creation of embryos in a laboratory facility, and then they're transferred into the uterus. It goes on to say IVF currently faces a number of legal challenges, while IUI does not. Walz goes on to say, this gets personal for me and my family. Personally, it's so personal to us. I had to make it up so it would be really, really, really gut-wrenching and personal. And when my wife and I decided to have children, we spent years going through infertility treatments. Remember this is what he was saying in the video. And I remember praying every night for a call for good news. Because that pit in my stomach when the phone rang and the agony when we heard that the treatments hadn't worked. So this wasn't by chance that when we welcomed our daughter into the world, we named her Hope. Goes on to say that Governor Walz and Mrs. Walz struggled for years of fertility challenges and had their daughter Hope through reproductive health care like IVF. It was IUI. IVF has been a huge topic of debate, obviously, on Capitol Hill. After the Alabama ruling, the Senate voted on legislation this past June to make IVF access a right nationally. All but 2 Senate Republicans voted to block the Senate bills, and many maintained that they support IVF access. Some Republicans called the push for legislation a political stunt on the part of Democrats. Even if you've never gone through the hell of infertility, someone you know has. This is what Walz wrote on social media. When Gwen and I were having trouble getting pregnant, the anxiety and frustration blotted out the sun. It blotted out the sun, folks. Climate change for IVF. Oh, they're all interrelated. You know what? You can't have IVF. You got climate change because it's blocking out the sun now. Senator J.D. Vance opposing the miracle of IVF is a direct attack on my family and so many others because that mean guy, J.D. Vance, he's a mean guy because he blocked the opposing miracle of IVF. Now, J.D. Vance was one of the majority of Senate Republicans who voted against the IVF package. And after Gwen Walz's disclosure that she underwent IUI treatments, not IVF, Vance is going to get hit on this. How dare you go after Gwen, his wife, who was having trouble conceiving? You shouldn't be doing that. You talk about cat ladies women who don't have children, and then when women do have children, you attack them too. That's exactly what's going to happen, folks. That's exactly what's going to happen. So Vance posted on X, today it came out that Tim Walz had lied about having a family via IVF. Who lies about something like that? That's what he said. And this is the guy. This is the Democratic, mantra that was out there. They were testing weird. And they were calling Trump weird and J.D. Vance weird. And Trump supporters weird. Remember, you heard weird, all over the place. Every major news outlet, weird. And so this guy lies about IVF treatments and has the audacity, the temerity, and the nerve to call us, you out there, and everybody else weird because he lies about how he and his wife had children, not through IVF, but through IUI. Tell me, people, who's really the weird ones? Anyways, folks, we appreciate you taking the time to watch. You've been watching the Dr. Nasser Shake Show. I've been your host. My name is Dr. Nasser. If you haven't done so already, we'd love you to subscribe to the channel, like, share, and follow us. Take a look at our links above and below. I'll leave you with my final thought, which is, when you're right, and when you're left, you're so wrong. Until next time, folks, take care and stay safe.